Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into this video. I'm Jay Theo, and today we will be talking about the top 5 challenges dating as a black gay man. Now, I know there are numerous challenges dating as a black gay man, and I can go on and on and on and on about the challenges, but I thought why not pick 5 or the biggest ones I think that we experience when we are out there dating, guys. So let me know if you agree with these challenges. Be sure to comment, let me know your thoughts, and if there are some more challenges that you feel that are just as important, also be sure to let me know. Alright guys, so without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and dive right into the top 5 challenges dating as a black gay man. So the first challenge we're going to discuss, I just want to get it out of the way. It's annoying, but it's a part of something that we have to always discuss. And guys, it's racism. Yes, I know, racism. But unfortunately, as black gay guys, this is a huge part of our day-to-day, and it's something that we're going to have to touch on and relive when we're dating. So one thing we really have to look out for when it comes to racism dating as a black gay man, and one of the that feeds into this challenge, is the fact that we have to watch out for racial preferences in people who definitely just don't have an interest in dating black men. Now, I know there's a lot of debate about racial preference versus preference and all those things, but at the end of the day, you stereotyping and choosing a mate based on stereotypes and how you view a group of people, I definitely think that is racism. Now, we can split hairs on what we agree with or what we don't disagree with. The fact of the matter is there are just some people out there that do not want to date black people, and it is for racist reasons. Now, so that's the first thing we have to deal with. So seeing that on the apps, or just having that feeling when you're out in the gay community that, this group of people aren't even interested in being around you or dating you, is definitely not a great feeling. So I feel for anyone who's felt that way in their gay community. I want to just say I feel for you. I've been there before. But I will say, being that I lived in Los Angeles and New York, I definitely have been around a lot of gays that are accepting of black people and definitely love being around us. But I definitely feel like there are times where that segregation, that separation still exists. Also, the other part of racism that's even a bigger probably annoyance for us black folk and also for other LGBTQs of color is definitely the fetishism. So black men already in mainstream culture are obsessively hypersexualized and even objectified. But in the gay culture, it takes it to a new level just because it's that's that desire for masculinity, that desire for a BBC, a desire for that dominance in the top, and that top mentality is really, really big in gay culture. So the fact that we as black men are perceived or stereotyped to be this way, and then now we have to dodge and avoid people who are just fetishizing us, or all the messages on the hookup apps where it's always asking you, how big you are you a top? All these questions that really are only speaking to stereotypes that they heard of us. So that's definitely another difficulty. And even when we do find someone out of our race that we would like to date or we're falling for, we still have to sit there and do this mental game where we're like, are they fetishizing me? Do they really like me for me? So it's just really frustrating that that's another challenge we have to deal with. And I've definitely encountered guys who definitely were fetishizing me. I've also encountered guys that weren't, and I've had great experiences, dating and connecting with white men or other people of color that were not fetishizing, but definitely have experienced it on the apps and in person, that level of, I feel like, objectification when it comes to me just being a black gay man. So that's all that I really want to say about racism. Watch out for the fetishizers, racial preference. Obviously, if they don't want to date you and you're a beautiful black person, then that's on them. There's enough billions of people on the planet that do want to date us. So just want to say that. But I definitely don't want to speak on anyone else's experience. So if you have had an experience where you're fetishized, or you found out you were being fetishized, be sure to comment and let me know how that turned out, or if that's something that you guys would want us to talk about in a future video. So on to the next challenge. So the next challenge is another one that's a little bit heavy, but I definitely think it's something that we need to discuss when talking about not only the black gay community, but also the just the overall black community, is mental health and trauma. So definitely everyone experiences mental health and trauma, but there definitely are disparities in depression and anxiety and mental health issues and trauma that are left untreated in the black community, on top of it even more so in the black gay community. And being that men overall in our society are not pushed to discuss emotions, to talk through feelings, there definitely is a lot of men out here who are experiencing really hard mental health and trauma issues, and are not allowed allowed to release those emotions and actually treat and work on it. And even though Black individuals do not experience as often periods of acute small levels of depression, when we do experience depression, we experience it longer, more chronically, more impactfully than our white counterparts, just because socioeconomically we do not have the resources to treat, like I stated, we don't have the resources to treat our trauma and our mental health issues. And also in our culture, it's also not endorsed to seek counseling, to seek therapy in our Black community. So we kind of have two layers of what's kind of preventing us from that. And why I bring this up for a dating challenge is that when we are dating each other, specifically Black men, when we are dating each other, that creates such another level of an obstacle we have to overcome, because now if we are both experiencing mental health issues or depression or any level of anxiety or anything like that, we usually haven't had the opportunity to actually treat these issues and actually work through in counseling and therapy. Now, I myself am in therapy, but I understand therapy is a privilege for most people still in this country, which is crazy to me. So I understand that everyone does not have access to therapy, but it does still create this obstacle, kind of like, what can we do to make sure that we are acknowledging our mental health issues and really making sure that we're reacting to trauma and working on a way to treat it, even if that's opening doors to more communication and really trying to figure that out. But yeah, mental health trauma is a big issue. I've definitely met and dated a few guys who definitely have had mental health issues and trauma that they need to fix. And I can see for a lot of men, I think before they get in relationships, they need to seek help for their mental health and trauma issues before they even start dating. Because when you have mental health and trauma issues and it goes untreated, that leads to violence, that leads to anger, that leads to suicide, that leads to a lot of bigger issues that can happen in our relationship. So I definitely think that's another huge challenge, is mental health and trauma. And I think there's a lot of steps we can start taking to fix it. But I think one step that can really open the door is honest and open communication and allowing our partners to be more vulnerable and emotional. And also just to the Black community as a whole, we really need to allow our men and our Black women and people to be more vulnerable and to allow for them to express emotions in a way that is healthy and really releases the things that really hold us back from our best selves. So it is a big challenge for us dating in the Black gay male community and also in the gay community as a whole. I know a lot of us in the gay community are experiencing trauma in our childhood from things that happened. I myself has as well, and just being kicked out of our homes or not, our parents not accepting us. There's a lot of things that definitely can affect us and affect our views on ourselves and our views on the gay community as a whole. So on to the third challenge, which I think all of us will agree with, and it kind of is a great segue coming off of the first two challenges, is hyper-masculinity. Now, I know I spoke to this a little bit in the fetishizing piece, but definitely in the Black community, particularly in the Black gay community, hyper-masculinity is sometimes, I feel like a little too much is just praised to just so much, to be masculine, to be hyper masculine, and mask for mask, and I'm looking for a masculine guy, I'm looking for a guy that acts like a boy. All those things are so oppressive to our community, and it creates this level of a double minority within the Black gay community. First off, we're Black, and then now in the gay community as Black gay men, now we're being demonized and being even further felt ashamed for being a little bit more feminine, for not playing sports, for not being these aggressive masculine Black men. And at the end of the day, masculinity, really all that is a mask. We have emotions, we have vulnerabilities just like women do. And for us as a group of people, as Black men, to not want to allow ourselves to be able to express our gender more fluidly and to just be open to other ways of living as Black men is really, really, really oppressive. And I definitely think that we have a long way to go to get to where we are not this mask for mask, obsessed with masculinity culture. I myself was growing up as a gay boy, was always like, okay, I want a masculine boyfriend, whatever. But now, as that I'm older, I definitely look at that differently, and I definitely am way more open to ideas of gender and how we can be more fluid with our gender, what other gender we classify ourselves as. So I definitely think that's a big issue. Also, I think hyper-masculinity when it comes to gay relationships definitely can cause a lot of violence. I myself have dated guys who have told me that they've been in relationships where they were arguing with their boyfriend, and when it got to the point where they were just arguing too much and there was too much talking going on back and forth, that they're not women. They end up fighting, and they end up going to jail. And I've had a couple guys tell me that after a while, they don't just want to hear nobody's mouth, or if your mouth gets too smart, that's when they're going to scrap, because they're not women, and that men fight and all that. And I just think that's just another aspect of hyper-masculinity, where men fight, men don't talk through things, men don't discuss things. Like, I think that's tragic that men feel like they can't have a conversation without it getting heated to the point where they have to fight. Like, that's crazy. Okay, I actually don't like saying that word. That's just bananas that men feel that way. So I definitely think hypermasculinity is another huge one that is a challenge in the gay dating community, particularly in the Black gay dating community, but even more so in the gay dating community overall. I think most men have this whole mass for mass obsession in the gay community, and it definitely transcends across races. So the fourth challenge that I know you guys all can relate to, and we all deal with this, and we all have encountered one of these guys, is DL culture. Now, unfortunately, this is a byproduct of our homophobic community in the Black community. Now, not everyone's homophobic, but it definitely stems from homophobia in the Black community, and that's where DL culture comes from. And it started off as down low was a slang term back in the day that was used for men who had sex with men on the low. And now it's been a part of our culture to where honestly we make jokes about it. Even like I made jokes about it. TikTok is a big thing. Everywhere we talk, and all my gay friends joke about dating DL guys, having encountered a DL guy, and even just growing up on having to date DL guys. So, so definitely I know this is a huge challenge, and obvious, and also just, it's a huge challenge just due to honesty. Sometimes you'll be out and you'll meet a guy in the club. I literally met a guy out in a club, started dating him, and then we were hooking up, we were doing the grown-up thing, and then months in, found out he had a girlfriend, and then he wanted to keep kicking it, and I had to cut him off and block him because I'm like, no, you have a girlfriend. I've also met guys who just left their wives, and they had like 4 or 5 kids, and they were down low for their whole marriage, and they finally came out, and they divorced their wife, and that's fine. But it's just like the levels of having like 4, 5, 6 kids with people, and then you realize, and then you finally want to come out. I mean, DL culture is a big challenge, and it puts a little damper on people who are out, who really are just looking for partners who are out. And don't be wrong, I understand the levels of oppression and homophobia that come in the Black community that make this DL culture phenomenon. Like I said, the double minority, the layers of being Black and being gay and being oppressed by all society, and then also being somewhat oppressed by your own race, is definitely a huge problem that has endorsed DL culture. But I think, the only way to move forward is that we got to create more spaces where Black men feel that they can be bisexual, that they can be pansexual, that they can be open to any type of sexuality. And I think we are getting there. I definitely think, as we are moving forward, we're getting there, but there's still a lot of work that we need to do to prevent this challenge. And honestly, it's no fun dating DL guys. They're annoying. Like, it's just not fun. Like, I mean, if you are DL, I'm sorry. Guys. Now, no, definitely DL guys. If there's anybody out there DL, you're still coming out and all that, definitely no shade to you, but it just, as someone who is looking for a partner, to have to then also deal with the DL culture and people who aren't out, and that whole phenomenon is just also challenging and frustrating. I dated a guy who was out, living in LA, and he said he was out and everything. His family knew he was out, but he said if we ever dated seriously, if he ever took me home to meet his family, that he would have to introduce me as his friend. Like, they still aren't accepting of it. So even though he's out, he still has to kind of come off with this DL culture even to his family. So even gay guys still can be DL, which is another layer too. There's so many layers, guys, to this, which is crazy, and so much not self-hate, but just like anti-self and anti-gay even when you are gay. So especially in the Black community. So that's definitely one that we could talk on and on. I would definitely love to hear about, if you guys are, have encountered DL men, how you dealt with them, and also if you are DL and why you think this conversation is important. I definitely understand both sides, but I know it is another challenge we must face when we are dating. So going on to the final challenge that maybe this might be more unique to my experience, particularly maybe it's the type of guys that I tend to date for whatever reason, but I meet a lot of Black gay men who are very stuck on the heteronormativity life, like the it's very, very stuck on the very heteronormative way of doing things when it comes to life. Now, I definitely think it's great to aspire to have kids and to get married. All those things are great, but I definitely think that, you know, there's room for us to be more creative with our gay relationships and not always have to follow the playbook of mainstream society. And honestly, you know, I think that and I also think there's just different demands and different nuances that comes when two men are dating. Even black gay, white gay, Latino gay, whatever you know, race you are. I definitely think there's different dynamics to dating when there's two men involved and then when there's a man and a woman involved. I definitely just think emotionally we are different. You know, and just emotionally, we're in society, we're raised different. We're raised to be less emotionally vulnerable, have less emotional intelligence than our women counterparts, and that's no fault to theirs. But I think with that, there's definitely different levels of creativity I think that can be had with having gay relationships in the black community. I think that you know, being more open to open relationships, or poly relationships, or more, you know, more just fluidity and flexibility in relationships definitely could benefit some gay relationships. But also strict monogamy, if that works for you, that works for you as well. But I definitely think the aspiration and the force to want to get married right away, want to have kids, and kind of build this whole white picket fence lifestyle, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea in the gay community. And not saying that I never would be open to a serious long-term relationship that we can grow and build with one each other. Yes, I'm definitely open to that. But, you know, it doesn't have to follow the same guidelines that our hetero counterparts follow. And not saying that that's wrong. I think getting married and having kids is amazing. But also, I think there's having a different alternative lifestyles and alternative relationships are also amazing as well. So I definitely think that that's something that I think we obsess a little bit over too much, is this aspiration to follow this heteronormative narrative. But I do think there's wins in both sides. And I definitely think you know, there could be more flexibility and our desire to have more fun in our community. I think that would just make dating and just meeting people just a lot more fun. So, but let me know what you guys think about that. Yeah, so I hope you guys found all these challenges useful to some degree, I guess. And if you feel that you agree, please let me know. If you disagree, also please let me know. I'd love to hear in the comments your thoughts on these challenges. And if you feel that there were any that I missed, or some that are even more important than the 5 that we discussed, definitely would love to hear from you guys. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm new to YouTube and definitely will be pushing out a lot more content, and would love to make sure that you guys are staying up to date on all the latest. So please be sure to like and subscribe. Also, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at jtheo if you want to check out my life outside of YouTube. But yeah, there will be a lot more content coming up, guys. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoy your Valentine's Day. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on my next video.